Hey guys, it's Steve, and this is the second segment talking about my personal investment and when to listen to your inner voice and when to go through with a deal and when not to go through with a deal, especially in investment. I'll give you a quick example. In my early, when I was 23 years old, I had three off-campus residence housing, 14 tenants, and it was a great feat for myself. But the last property I bought was this. I had this. Everything it was an uphill battle, the whole deal. It was like there's something always happening with it, and I pushed through it, and I made everything happen, even though there was all these signs and warnings where I shouldn't push through, but I was just being overconfident. I think it was an ego thing, and I pushed through and then obviously secured the deal, and that nearly bankrupted me early on in my life. So when I get that gut feeling, I always listen to it, and I'll give you, so it's not read from books, this is actually an experience of having that gut feeling. So we'll fast forward to the current deal right now. If you've watched any of my social platforms, I flipped a few of my investment properties, and we're going to put that money back into real estate at a higher level, let's say something generating more income or more future opportunity to build and develop. So this great deal pops up. It's commercial. I don't really do commercial, but I think it's just, you look at the deal, it's fantastic. It's basically two storefronts with an apartment. So a two-story building, storefront with an apartment. And then there's a second building with just a one-story store or storefront, let's call it, with an option, what I saw, an option to build or top it up to a second story and have another two apartments up there. So I would have, let's say, two storefronts, two commercial tenants, two apartments on the other unit, so that's four tenants. And then when I built up maybe $150,000 to $200,000 investment to top up, I would have another two tenants. So you imagine $75,000 to $100,000 per door, and you're getting probably about $1,500 per month rent, which was fantastic. So you'd have, let's say, a sixplex, if you want to call it. So two commercial tenants and four residential tenants, which is awesome. But being in construction, you're looking at these buildings, I already saw a problem because the adjacent neighbor, or the neighbor, had an encroachment, about 16-inch overhang from his gable roof onto our property. So that's a legal matter where he's invading my air rights. When it's my opportunity to build, he's got to fix that roof. So he's got a gable roof on basically a main street where everything should be flat roofs with tarred flat roofs like all the rest of the buildings. So you start to think, and when you're doing a deal like this, you have about, let's say, 14 to 21 days of due diligence period to check in with the city, your solicitor's review, and make sure everything is kosher. So going into this, that's already stands out. Why is there a gable roof? Did somebody build this 20, 30 years ago just for cost efficiency? Obviously, it's a lot less expensive to build a gable with an eavesdrop shingled rather than a flat tarred roof. Naturally, that's logic. That is a less expensive way to go. So you're search processing. Why is that a gable? Why is that a gable? So you check in with the city. City won't allow me to subdivide the units because there's two street numbers. So I figured we can separate the units, and that's always going to build up a lot more value because they're two separate units. And ultimately, if I wanted to renovate, flip one unit and then use all that cash money to pay the other one fully and then have it as literally cash-free property, that was always an option. But we'd probably keep both of them because mortgages are okay, honestly, as long as it's paying you to own them. So with that said, I checked in with the city. We can't subdivide the units. Why? Because we're legally, you have to have 18 feet wide to have a unit on this main strip, and the smaller building was 14 feet wide. So now you start turning your mind when you go back into history and also property law, where usually that was probably because there were buildings were built in 1890. That must have been a passageway for horses and carriages and something of that nature. So that building was probably erected not legally, let's call it. So that's maybe non-conforming legal building there, and it's just going to be grandfathered in because someone just filled it in maybe 80 to 90 to 100 years ago. So now we start looking at the neighbor with its encroachment. So fair enough. So maybe our building was done, but now it's grandfathered in. So now we look at the neighbor, and we found out the neighbor's roof was built in 1890. So that building was probably there before anything else was there, or it was built with obviously that little area where it was just a passageway for horses and carriages, and that's why they have a gable with an eavesdrop to carry the water out. So now what do you do? So that could be grandfathered in too, even though it's encroachment over my air rights. Do you really want to go into a legal battle and force the neighbor to fix the roof? So you always want to have that fight. You want to get into it. You want to go for it because you feel like it's your legal right to get that done. But you kind of start weighing the information that we found is basically our building may or may not have been done right, let's call it, or maybe should never have been a building. and that building had the full right to have an eavesdrop over. I don't know. And, so we talked with a lawyer. Legally, I had nothing really strong to bite on to go forward with this, where it's like, okay, in 3 to 5 years when we do decide to build, we're just going to send a notice to our neighbor where he has to correct that roof. And, that's probably $50,000-$60,000 job, because ultimately he's going to have to, rip off the roof, send his tenants somewhere else temporarily, let's say 3 to 5 months, let's say 3 months to build it, create a flat roof, tar it, and then, find a way to drain the water out. So this is a big, huge undertaking for them. So they're going to fight me tooth and nail. And not to mention, the tenant in that building is an actual lawyer. So our adjacent, the guy would have to fight in court is an actual lawyer with a lease option to buy when the first opportunity comes and arrives. So that lawyer is going to fight tooth and nail in order to not get that, to fight tooth and nail in order for that roof to stay there and remain the way it is, because he also has 2 windows facing it on our roof. So now their tenants have actual natural light coming out on the side, not just the front and the back. So they are in an ideal situation. So gut feeling, we're pushing and kept pushing. The deal looks great. I think it's got a good options, but ultimately there's going to be a whole disaster going forward, and we're not going to have an opportunity. Or when we do have an opportunity to build, it's going to be a huge legal battle, and then we might not even get it done because of just the way everything was done in 1890. So that could just been grandfathered in. So that's it. So we walked away from the deal, and this is like my inner voice telling me just to walk away, that gut feeling. And this is what I tell clients: if the deal's not good and you're feeling you're in an uphill battle, just walk away from it. There's something around the corner, and that's pretty much it. So we're waiting for that next deal, and that's it. So listen to your inner voice. Your gut feeling's always telling you the truth. Having a great day, guys. Ciao.